So I am a veteran teacher. I have been here in New Richmond all 26 years of my teaching career. Came here right out of college. And the cool part is here in New Richmond, we have a longstanding belief in agricultural education. In fact, since 1914, I'm only the sixth teacher that has been in our community. So not only do we believe in what we're doing here, but we also have an innate ability to stick around and grow programs and do great work. So I have been blessed in that way that the community believes in what I am doing in the agricultural education program with my awesome kids. I do have a husband and a daughter who's at the University of Iowa in her freshman year. I also have a seventh grade daughter who is involved with my program so far at the middle school level. And so that will grow as she comes to high school as well in a couple of years. Outside of being a teacher, I am a paper crafter. I love to make pretty things from paper, so scrapbooking and card making and all of those things. I organize a craft club in the community. So one Friday night a month, friends gather and we have up to 25 to 30 ladies doing fun things with their craft. So I enjoy that as well as a creative outlet beyond teaching. So that's a little bit about me. Well, that's kind of funny too, RJ, because when I interviewed here, I thought, oh, I'll do this job for maybe 5 years and then I'll figure out what I really want to be when I grow up. But the truth is, I teach 16 different classes based on what students sign up for. I have 5 minutes to change gears from something like landscaping to small animal science to leadership to greenhouse management to food science. And just that little bit of an energy boost is what keeps me going. No 2 days here in this role are ever the same. I also have an aquaculture facility here at school. So fish tanks are always, have the potential to overflow. I have 20 creatures here at the high school that we take care of. You just never know what sort of problems can ensue there. And then we have a commercial greenhouse and a school farm where we raise beef for school lunch. So I have grown the program and it's been my pleasure to do so with awesome students that are here by my side, but also awesome community volunteers. And so I think the community collaboration is also something that keeps me going. To do all of this by my lonesome, I would be stressed out and dead. And so it's that sort of thing and that engagement. And when we can get multiple generations working together on a project, it's really something that I love and keeps me going. Oh my gosh, RJ, you never really set out on a teaching journey thinking that that sort of recognition is coming your way. So, I had a tumultuous childhood, and it was really my agriculture teacher that sort of was a second dad to me and really helped guide my path. I told my real dad, Farmer Brian, that I would never be involved in agriculture, that I would never marry a farmer, or God forbid, would I ever be a farmer. I told him that when I was 12. And when I was 12 and a half, I went to UW River Falls for the first time for an FFA conference. And really that set me on the trajectory of becoming an ag teacher. So I'm 48 years old now, and I decided I was going to do this job when I was 12 and a half. And so all the steps in the journey, I was a first generation college kiddo. Nobody in my family had gone to school before me. So I really set out on a journey that I had no idea how to tackle. But it was, again, the people along the way that helped me. And I think as I think about that recognition, pretty incredible stuff. I mean, I cried, and it was a wonderful celebration in our auditorium. And certainly you don't do this work really for those sorts of recognition, but at the same time, it feels really good to be recognized for the hard work that I've put in for 26 years. Well, to give you a little backstory, when we built our new school in 2010, it opened, and I really wanted a place where we could raise some animals that here at school and give kids an opportunity to see how their food is produced. My program is really geared around producing food, because if you know how to do that, you can be successful in many ways in life. And so I decided that I was going to embark on this school farm after successfully raising 5 calves from 1 day old to about 850 pounds here at school. But my students never got to see the end product. And I believe everybody should see how humane it is when animals are turned into meat through that process. And so I decided to pursue building a little barn outside my back door. But in the end, the city swooped in and said, do you really want to build here if you can have 20.5 acres to make a farm with this property that we have received? And so just like in the movies with those black cars with the darkened windows, 8 men in business suits and I stood in the backyard of our current farm site, and they said, Rachel, can you make something of this? And as a teacher, as an educator, as a human, I adore challenges. It's really what keeps me going. It keeps my brain functioning. I love the problem solving, the troubleshooting, and most importantly, the idea generation. So I glommed on to 2 of my production agriculture traditional farm kids, Max and Sophia, and I said, here's the deal. We have 20.5 acres with these buildings. Let's do something. I said, the real truth is I am sick of watching Dateline specials where they show the pink slime that goes into school lunch. I am a farmer's daughter. I know how to do better, so I must do it better. And let's get beef into school lunch, that we know every bit of morsel of food and everything that goes into their body. And we produce that for our school lunches. And the kids were like, oh my gosh, do you think we can really do it? And I said, yes. Not only do I think we can, we will. And so we started that project brainstorming in 2016. 2018, we butchered our first herd of cattle, and we usually operate in 2 to 3 groups of cattle age range, so we can butcher multiple times a year. And so getting all of that figured out, getting all the financial pieces and parts, this project was solely focused on income that came in from grants and donations up until this last school year. So I found all of that money. I found all of the helpers. It's really, again, been a great community collaboration. So we're getting set to butcher again on March 10th. 3 of our big boys will go in. And from that, we'll have more beef for school lunch, but we'll also have some to sell to our community. They come to our steak sales, and there we also sell our honey from our bees and also our eggs from our chickens and any sort of student projects that kids have been working on. So it turns into a community affair, and it just really is something that teaches my students about business, marketing, things outside of agriculture, like managing your finances and your inputs and outputs, which they may not have a direct career in agriculture someday, but man, they sure had fun with me, and they learned some basic principles that will guide them for the rest of their lives. So it's turned into something fantastic with over 93 different community partners, which are businesses, individuals, but then we also have another 64 right now who have also contributed animals, everything from 1 chicken after a predator comes into their chicken coop and they have 1 left, they bring that to me, or the baby calves that we get at various times in the year to turn into our beef cattle. So it's a fantastic project that warms my heart, being able to teach people of all ages. Also at the farm, we have a garden. And so my oldest volunteer is 94 years old, great grandma Harriet, and she comes and helps in the garden with her granddaughter and her great granddaughter. But again, a great way to produce fresh vegetables. The students actually just started here today planting seeds that we will sell for our spring sale, as well as get planted into the Source Center garden. So it is a full-scale operating farm every single day of the year. So that is also a favorite role of mine. Through our National Association of Agricultural Educators, I was selected to travel the country teaching teachers. So we have various professional development programs that we are very proud of that really service a teacher from a pre-service teacher, one who's in college just deciding to pursue this opportunity, on up to the wisest owls in our group. And so it's fun to be able to go to different parts of the country, meet teachers, hear their stories, be able to troubleshoot and problem solve with them. Being a veteran educator, chances are I've already gone through some of the struggles that they're facing. And so being able to coach and mentor and offer those words of wisdom and give them hope that it is just a fantastic career to be a part of, and all the students that we have the chance to impact, and that ripple effect that comes through our communities is a pretty cool opportunity too. So I love that, whether it's teaching at a national conference or just maybe a weekend in Illinois or Nebraska or Arizona. It brings me to a different part of the country as well to explore the agriculture there. And then I have the opportunity to bring that back to my students as well through pictures and experiences with those teachers. So I value that really, really, really much in my life. You know, RJ, kids in schools today are hungry. And it's not their fault that they might not have money in their lunch account. And so, being the teacher of all things food, I am often a stopping point on a student's day-long journey through the building, through their classes. And, you know, they might whisper or they might announce loudly that they're a little hungry. And do I have anything that could help them in that moment? Being a student who grew up on a farm, you know, finances were tight when I was a kid. And I should have very clearly been on free and reduced lunch, but my dad was too proud for that as a dairy farmer producing food for others. And so we never did. And he made it work. There are families certainly in our communities across the state that are making it work. But I also know there's a family in my community that missed the free and reduced lunch cutoff by $1.57. And so there are struggling families, and it's my job to find ways to raise funds to help with the problem. We have our Big Empty Bowls event coming up on March 14th here at the high school, and we'll raise money for our Happy Kids Backpack program. And we took away the barriers of that. If you request assistance, you get assistance. And those come in the form of vouchers from our local Quick Trip for meat, bread, eggs, fruit, milk, all of the things. I might have said milk twice, but my dad's a dairy farmer, RJ, so milk matters. And so as we think about removing those barriers, we talk a lot in schools about equity and inclusion, and we really need to do a better job of making sure that our kids in schools are fed so that they can actually learn. If we know anything about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the base level is having your needs met: food, shelter, love. And so certainly as teachers, we've been providing as much as we can in that array. And my granola bar is one of my major assistants in that pursuit. That's a great question too, RJ. Certainly changes have come. When we passed our referendum, my educational opportunities exploded with my new facility that I was able to create. Certainly when I started out, we had a greenhouse and a lab room and could do many things. But as soon as we sort of advanced those opportunities, we saw more kids getting involved, right? They like the hands-on part of their day. They like the animal therapy pieces and parts. We used to only get one classroom pet over at the old school, but now we have a whole lab room dedicated to that animal learning center with all of those things. And so I think student opportunities have certainly grown, of course, with the farm as well as my ideas and vision. I always have a 5-year plan for what I want to create and grow with the students at my side. But I think also just to be blatantly honest, the expectations of some of the parents have changed. I once encountered a parent who sent me an email at 8:52 p.m. demanding that I call her right now so I could teach her how to do her son's homework. Like 26 years ago, that would not have been a thing at all. And so those are some of the nuances and strange situations that we encounter as boundaries are really gray these days. And so I would say that's a big difference. But at the base level, RJ, there are fantastic students who want opportunities, who want to learn and grow and try new things. And that's what keeps me here in the classroom. They deserve these opportunities. They deserve to know where their food comes from and how it's grown. They deserve to be taken to leadership conferences to grow their skills. And I think that is why I continue to do what I do. Another example this year, I encountered a young gentleman who came on a trip with me who had never eaten at a mall food court at 14 years old. And so it's interesting the opportunities and the things that may not be happening at home in their home life, but also the things that I get to do with kids that introduce them to those new opportunities. Another example is when I take kids to our national FFA convention and we go 3 states away. Some of them have never left St. Croix County before, and now we're going to tours and all sorts of things, all the way there and all the way back. And so I love that part of my job as well. And those are their core memories for the rest of their life. I have students who are over 40 years old, RJ, in the community. Crazy stuff, right? But they have families, and I'm seeing their kids come back into my classroom. But when we visit at the grocery store, it's those things. Remember when we did, they bring up, and of course I remember because I'm not that old yet. I still have that good memory. But how fun it is to be able to discuss that years down the road. So that's what keeps me here. But those are definitely some of the changes. Definitely, RJ, that is an issue. And to a lot of us, even as veterans, there is not enough time in the day to do some of the paperwork that is required of us as teachers. And so any way that an administrative team can free up a little bit more time so teachers can tackle the things that make the most impact on the students in their classroom will help retain good teachers. We also need a clear set of guidelines and expectations, but also leadership from the top that will help us kind of put things in priority order. Also thinking through retaining teachers, we need a network of mentors and coaches that can help our newest teachers figure things out. In the career technical education world that I teach in, we also have such a shortage of teachers that we're bringing them in from the industry. They have zero educational tools in their basket. They didn't take classes like educational psychology in college. And so being able to mentor those folks coming in from industry and to give them some of the tools to help walk the walk, to have them observe teachers who deal with classroom management. Classroom management is a whole nother beast that is part of that teacher retention issue right now as kids come to us with far more severe issues than they certainly did in my initial years of teaching. And so I think we just have to have a really supportive network to help our teachers stay in the classroom long term. Well, I have to confess that I'm really in the market for a mini Highland calf because I just want to snuggle them. But the truth is, RJ, I'm actually allergic to plants and animals, and I should only be outside December 1st to December 8th every year, according to my allergist, who treats only the most severe humans. And so my job is funny to a lot of people because I'm allergic to it and I take pills to come to school every day. But that's also why I need excellent student leaders. And I need this mini Highland calf because they're just so cute. Cattle are my jam. I love them. They each have a personality. I know the purpose. My students understand the purpose. But, this butcher time, March 10th, is going to be really hard for a lot of my students because Leroy is going to be butchered. And Leroy was a young calf that went to our local dairy breakfast for June Dairy Month. And right after that time, after he met the whole community, he broke his leg doing the zoomies in his calf hutch. And he had to get a cast. And he lived and thrived and survived through that whole piece, and everybody loves him, but now it's his time. It's his time to fulfill his purpose and become school lunch. So we love them. They all have names, but cattle are pretty interesting creatures. So I kind of already have what I would love and do love. And we're getting ready to get our new ones at the end of April. So 8 more babies will join the farm. Everybody should come and hit me up for a tour because RJ, you should see what we're doing.